In this demonstration, you will learn how to inspect properties at runtime. Let's switch to Visual Studio. Here I've started the customer's application. Now let's imagine you want to find out where the background property of this first name text box is set. To do this, I use here the selection tool and I select the first name text box. Now I click here on this icon to open up Visual Studio's Live Visual Tree. As we selected the text box in the user interface, it got also selected here. Now let's click here on the two angle brackets. This opens up the customer's view SAML file that contains here the text box that is bound to the first name property. But as you can see, on this text box, the background property is not set. This means it must be set somewhere else. To find this out, let's go back to the Live Visual Tree window and let's right-click here the text box. Here in the context menu, you can click on Show Properties and this opens up the Live Property Explorer. Here in this Live Property Explorer, you can actually see from where a specific property is coming from. It can be a local value in the customer's view SAML file. But when you expand this, you can see the background property is not set locally. Next, you see a style here that is used for this text box, and here you can see that the background property is set to this value. When you click here on Styles SAML, the Styles SAML file is opened. As you can see, the cursor is already on this implicit text box style that sets here the background property to this dark gray value. Now you know the value of the background property comes from this style. In the property window, you can also see the base style that sets the padding property, and you can see the default style of the text box that sets, for example, here the template property. Then you can also see other things. Here are inherited values, which is the data context property and the font size property. Here you see that the data context of this text box is actually a customer's view model. So when you expand this, you see here the selected customer property and you see the properties of the customer item view model. Now I want to show you one more thing. Let's go again to the Live Visual Tree window. When you select here different elements, you can see that the Live Property Explorer always shows the selected element of that Live Visual Tree window. What you can also do in the Live Property Explorer is to define new properties that are just used at runtime. So I selected here the text box again, and now let's define, for example, a new local value for the background property. To do that, you click here on New, and now you can select a property of the text box. Let's select here the background property, and let's set the value to green. I hit Enter to confirm this. Now you see the property is set here. Now let's bring up the application again, and now you see the text box is using that property that we have set in the Live Property Explorer. When you restart the application, that value is gone again because it is not stored. You didn't change the code. So use this feature to try out different properties on an element without modifying your application. Alright, now let's wrap up what you have learned in this module.